This is the Water Quality Association podcast, promoting the betterment of water quality around the world. And hello, I'm your host, Wes Bleed.
Mentoring is interesting because you have to let the mentee lead it, and you never know what direction they're going to take it. Some are just looking for industry knowledge. Some are looking to develop their leadership skills. Some are just trying to find their direction, where they want to go in their career.
That's Becky Tallon, Director of Water Treatment Technologies for A.O. Smith, talking about the WQA Mentoring Program. And welcome to the weekly podcast from the Water Quality Association, the leading voice of the residential, commercial, and industrial water treatment community. Find us at WQA.org. If you're a first-time listener or viewer, welcome. We're glad you're here. If you've joined us before, we're glad you're back. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss a show. That's the magic of podcasting. And be sure to share the podcast with someone on your team. We also feature our podcasts on YouTube. Go to youtube.com/@WaterQualityAssociationVideos. And in this episode, we focus on volunteerism and mentoring within WQA and the water treatment industry. Our guest is Becky Tallon, who leads the water treatment technology team at A.O. Smith's Corporate Technology Center. She successfully managed the launch of the company's water treatment products in North America and helped to shepherd 3 newly acquired water treatment companies into A.O. Smith's family of businesses. We discuss the mentorship programs at WQA and what it's like to volunteer on task forces, committees, and advisory councils, as well as the many benefits that these opportunities offer WQA members who want to advance their career in the water treatment industry. And later, we'll have our WQA tip, all coming up on the Water Quality Association podcast. And Becky Tallon from A.O. Smith. Thanks so much, Becky, for joining us. We appreciate you being on the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Wes.
You've had quite a career in the water treatment industries and technology. You've been instrumental in many initiatives at A.O. Smith, and would love to hear a little bit more about that. Can you just start by sharing a little bit of your journey and what drives your passion for the industry?
Sure. So I would say I got in the industry by accident. I got a degree in chemical engineering in the mid-90s, and my first job out of college was working for a company here in the Milwaukee area called Water Services, designing industrial RO systems, which was an interesting first job, but really applied what I had learned in school, and it was interesting work. Following that, I had the opportunity to work at Pentair. I was there for 17 years. I started in the lab, doing very hands-on work, competitive product analysis, product testing. And in the 17 years, I eventually became the R&D manager, leading technology developments for the water treatment group at Pentair. And then 8 years ago, I came to A.O. Smith, and here I lead a global technology development team, really focused on growing our water treatment businesses for A.O. Smith.
Very neat. And also your involvement with WQA. Can you give us a little bit of history on that?
It's been almost as long. I think I attended my first WQA event in the early 2000s, mostly because I was doing certification work for Pentair. And I thought I needed to learn a little bit more about the industry. And it's been fantastic. I've been volunteering on a number of different committees. I've chaired committees. I'm now a member of the board for WQA. I've been a member of the board for WQRF. And I couldn't even count the number of task forces that I've been on.
Well, we wanted to touch on that today in our podcast. We wanted to talk about volunteering, getting involved in committees, and mentoring. And let's start a little bit with your role with Women in Industry. You're one of the first women on that advisory council and also been serving as a mentor. Pick up that thread for me.
Mentoring is always an interesting. I still don't quite feel like I'm the person that should be mentoring people. I feel like I should still have mentors. but I always learn from the people I'm mentoring. And I've been doing a lot of it both through WQA and through some of the local universities as well. Mentoring is interesting because you have to let the mentee lead it, and you never know what direction they're going to take it. Some are just looking for industry knowledge. Some are looking to develop their leadership skills. Some are just trying to find their direction, where they want to go in their career. And, I think I've been fortunate to see people who I've mentored who've very quickly kind of embraced WQA and moved into more leadership roles, taken on committee vice chair roles or chair roles. And it's really fulfilling. And I always learn from my mentees. They have a different perspective than I do. And those discussions always spark something in me that I want to go learn more about.
And why would somebody want to get involved in the program, either as a mentor or mentee?
As a mentor, I think you're always going to benefit both from building your network, from sharing your knowledge, from developing your own personal and professional skills as you're helping somebody develop theirs. As a mentee, it's a great way to network. Your mentor can help introduce you to a number of people that you probably wouldn't have the opportunity to meet otherwise. It's a great way to learn about the industry. A lot of the mentors have been in the industry for a long time. And you can keep kind of trying out mentors until you find the one that clicks for you. And that really, I think finding that right relationship really helps to develop both people in that relationship.
So that really does have an impact on your professional journey as well. It's not just a volunteer role.
No, absolutely not. And, I've been blessed to have a number of good mentors in the industry myself. When I first started attending those meetings, in particular water sciences, I found a lot of like-minded people who were passionate about the industry, who wanted to share what they knew, and they were willing to help guide me and teach me. And I really think that helped my professional development and my work in my roles at Pentair and here at A.O. Smith.
Any memorable experiences? Anything that comes to mind that you can say, hey, this was one of those examples where I can see how this all came together in a positive way for, both the mentor and the mentee?
I don't think I have a great specific example, but I think a lot of the people that I've mentored are active in the industry still, and maybe more active than they were. And certainly I have mentees who've become friends.
Yeah, friends, examples, situations where you run into each other years down the road, right? And you have that connection because of what you had done in the past. So I mentioned women in industry. How has that been going along? It's been several years now that the program or the advisory council has been in existence.
I think the growth of not just WIN, but also Thrive and Rise has really been important for WQA. I think it was a way for us to, WIN started as a way to kind of engage the women in the industry, right? There aren't that many of us, and I'm kind of used to that. About 15% of engineers globally are women. But if you look at water treatment professionals and plumbers, the number's a lot lower. So it was important to engage us and for new women coming into the industry to feel like they had a place and to see leaders in the industry who look like them, right? That they could look up to and see themselves in that role. And I think it's really developed over the years, with the introduction of the mentoring program, with the addition of the scholarship, so we can bring people who wouldn't normally be at the show or at mid-year leadership to come in and get to be with this group of people. And I think the three groups working together, it's really driving engagement and diversity at WQA.
Might be a good point to bring up STEM advocacy. So STEM education, science, technology, is it, I'm trying to think, engineering and math.
Engineering
right?
and math. Yep.
Okay, all right.
Sometimes you throw art in there too, but.
STEAM, would that be it?
Yep.
Okay. And especially for girls, women, how do you see what the direction that all is going? and areas of improvement that are still yet to be honed?
Yeah, it's an area that I think has stagnated a lot more than I would have thought. I don't think the numbers of women in STEM has changed significantly since when I was in college. But I've had a fantastic career. It's very fulfilling. I really enjoy problem solving and learning, and I want to make sure that that girls know they have that opportunity. And as I said, representation is important. So seeing women in that career that you want to have helps you see yourself there as well. So I do work, obviously, with WQA and WIN, but I do work with high school robotics teams, talking to women there. I've mentored some of our co-ops and college students that come through, just trying to foster that recognition that all these career paths are open, right?
Yeah, and as I'm listening to you say this, do you think we're starting early enough with the emphasis? Is that maybe where we need to put a little bit more emphasis?
It probably needs to start as early as you start educating girls, right? And I don't have the exact studies in front of me, but I know that in early math, girls and boys perform the same. But you start to lose the girls as they get into the middle school, early high school. And it's not because they're not capable. It's because they see other paths for themselves. So yeah, I think the earlier we can get women interested, and certainly water treatment is a great space to do that, right? If I look at where women engineers are, they tend to be in the environmental engineering, the civil engineering, the spaces around water. They're interested in the environment. They're interested in helping people. And the water treatment industry is a great nexus for that to happen.
Well, as I listen to you talk about volunteering, mentoring, and the job you're doing itself, which is very busy, you're talking about a global outreach, if you will. It brings to mind the idea that a lot of people would have problems with what you're talking about from a time standpoint. How do you balance all of that? How do you balance professional and volunteer work and your personal life, for that matter? How do you do it?
You don't try to do it all at once. Right? I'm fortunate with where I'm at in both my career and my personal life that I do have the time to volunteer right now. But I couldn't do this when my kids were real little. I couldn't do this when I was back in school. And other things come up. Sometimes you have periods where, I'm doing a lot of work travel, and then the volunteering has to step back. But you have to figure out what's important to you, where you want to focus your time and energy, and then make it work. I'm fortunate that a lot of this is part of my job as well. So I can take the time, during my work day to do the work for WQA, to do the work for the NSF Joint Committee. But, it's not always easy. And sometimes I can't do as much volunteering as I would like. But it's just a matter of finding where that balance is, and it's going to be different for everybody.
Any strategies that you can recommend? Any tips?
A lot of different time management processes that I've gone through the years, and a lot of just trying to keep everything organized. Again, I've used a variety of methods there, but I think that the most important thing for me is every week sitting down and figuring out what the priorities are for that specific week.
Organization? Is that part of this? Wow.
So much.
All right. So let's talk about other professionals, other folks in water treatment, and who might be considering but are unsure about the commitment for volunteering. How do you help them step through that process, and how can they start, and what benefits can they expect?
So I think my advice for starting is to start small. Right? You don't have to go out and volunteer for multiple committees and commit to being at all of these meetings. Sign up for a task force. I think there's a lot of satisfaction there because that's where the work's actually getting done. They're usually relatively small time periods. So you're not committing for years, you're committing for months. And it's usually a meeting a month and a little bit of work, right? So I think you can start there. The The other place to start is to come to a convention or to mid-year leadership conference and just attend some of the meetings. Just get a feel for how things go and kind of what the expectations are. Makes it a little bit more approachable when you finally do have the time to commit.
Yeah, and speaking of meetings, we've got the Mid-Year Leadership Conference coming up. I'd love to get your thoughts on that. It's, our theme is Connect, Elevate, and Inspire, and it kind of fits in with what you're talking about. What's been your experience with some of our past conferences?
Mid-Year Leadership Conference is always it's a different feel from convention, right? Convention is very much business. It's everybody's got their exhibits, and then you've got kind of very regimented meetings that you're going through. Mid-Year Leadership Conference is more of a discussion, and it's more engagement, one-on-one in small groups, to really talk about the things that are important to the industry. I usually leave Mid-Year Leadership Conference with pages of notes and ideas, things I want to research, things I want to understand more, people I want to connect with. And those come from the sessions that we have and those larger discussions, but they also come from those one-on-one discussions that you have, between sessions at networking opportunities. And I'm not a natural networker, but by going through and attending these meetings, I've developed some relationships, and, it's a great opportunity to just learn more about the industry and the people who are in the industry with us.
Any memorable experiences from past conferences?
I would say armadillo races.
You remember that?
Probably one of my favorites.
Yes, definitely.
So that's what I remember is the time to connect and talk to people. Yeah.
Great. Final thoughts on that new engineer, that new product manager, perhaps somebody else within the industry itself, starting off, getting involved. What would you recommend from a career standpoint, and any other aspect that you want to bring into the discussion?
Yeah, I think for new engineers, new product managers, kind of that type of role is what I'm most familiar with. Take the time to understand what the customers really need. And those customers might be the consumers, they might be dealers, it might be your retail customers, but really understanding what they need and then be innovative in how you solve their problems. Yeah, I think this whole industry is kind of wide open for innovation. There's a lot of real problems that need to be solved, and we need to be creative in how we do that.
Hey, that's a great lead up to the next convention. Our theme is innovation. So, awesome. Well, Becky, I want to say thank you so much for joining us on the podcast, giving your thoughts on volunteerism and, just rolling up your sleeves and helping others to see the vision for what that can look like. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Wes.
Our WQA tip: you're invited to connect, inspire, and elevate at the 2024 Mid-Year Leadership Conference coming up September 17th through the 19th at a convenient Midwest location near Chicago's O'Hare Airport. Don't miss out on this collaborative, strategic conference for the water treatment industry. It won't be the same without you. Learn more and register at wqa.org/MYLC. Thanks for joining us for the Water Quality Association podcast, bringing you the latest news and insights from the association, our members, and outside experts to help you better serve your customers and grow your business. Learn more about water and water treatment at our consumer website, betterwatertoday.org, and learn more about professional certification, product certification, and how you can become a WQA member at WQA.org. Until next time, this is Wes Bleed. So long from the Water Quality Association.